Hey y'all, I'm Kimberly Warner, mama of two, lover of shoes, and serial entrepreneur. I've dedicated my life to helping women succeed in business and in life by just being themselves. But the path isn't always easy. I was targeted for having an authentic opinion on what had happened to my community, to my businesses, and to my friends and family. I was attacked for publicly speaking my beliefs. Then I was reduced to a cliche. Aggressively blonde. Too dumb to know what I'm talking about. That's why your husband left you. Even tried to cancel my business. After these attacks, I spent 9 days in bed, debilitated by fear, until I pulled myself up by my big girl pants and I chose to lean into my fear and not be silenced by it. This podcast is for everyone who's experienced fear or regret. You will learn how others like me have risen from the ashes and are better for it. In addition, I will bring you other fun and interesting topics and guests that will inspire you to be fearlessly authentic. Here we go. Hey y'all, it's Kimberly. I'm so excited to be here. This is my very first podcast. I have to say I love a microphone, and anyone who knows me knows that I love a microphone. So usually it's really hard to take it away from me, but now I have a really fancy one in my closet. I'm hoping to at one point have like a nice studio, but right now we're just in and amongst all the clothes that are too tight for me and no longer fit, thank you, COVID and 2020 and the extra 15 pounds I've gained. So super, super excited to be here for my very first podcast, Fearlessly Authentique. Authentique is French for authentic, and it is named after my retail store that I own in downtown Kenosha, along with a couple of other businesses that I own. But I am here to kind of tease what this whole podcast is about. This is podcast number 1, and it is just about fear. I went through something here in Kenosha in 2020, and maybe some of you know about it. It was, riots and attacks on not only the downtown, but the uptown of Kenosha. Half of our town was burned to the ground. And for 4 or 5 days straight, I didn't sleep. I watched everything unfold before me and basically just sobbed for 4 days. Hoping that my tiny little Midwestern town would survive, that it would make it. Because in this little downtown, I promised myself that I was going to be a part of this upward trajectory that downtown Kenosha had going on for it. Like, we were getting some new restaurants, we were getting some new hotels. I mean, this is Wisconsin, y'all. Like, we're not like, this isn't like New York City. And I was really wanting to be a part of rebuilding a downtown. And just a caveat why that's special to me. So my grandmother, Virginia, is probably the most important person in my life other than my mother. And she always would take me downtown when I was a kid. Downtown was a thing. You went downtown Milwaukee. And downtowns used to have restaurants and tea rooms and boutiques and shopping and all of that. And over the years, downtown sort of just became kind of a thing of the past. I don't even really know how to explain it, but they just did. And the big box stores opened and the malls opened and the mega malls with, roller coasters and the whole nine. That became the new thing. And as a result, downtowns sort of faded away. And downtowns give me, small downtowns especially, but give me a memory of my grandmother, Virginia, who was literally the single most influential woman in my life. And, and now I try to dedicate my life to being influential to other women, not only my daughter, Madeline, who at this time is 15. She's that high schooler and boyfriend and about to drive and all that scary stuff. But, you have that one person, right, who's influential. And so that downtown thing was important to me. So when the opportunity came that I was able to potentially open a business. Now, I'll tell you what, I did not plan to open a business. This is how fly by the seat of my pants I am. So I was looking for a new office space just for working for, I also started a direct selling organization in Wisconsin about 10 years ago. I have maybe like 20,000 consultants or so, give or take. And I was looking for a new office space for that particular business. And I found this most beautiful store front that had giant picture windows. And I walked in and I was like, I'm going to open a store. I signed the lease that day. And I tell people all the time, you know how everyone says like, ready, set, go. I'm go. Set, ready. I go for it, and then I figure it out later. That's literally how I rule my life. I'm not saying it's a good way to do things, but for me, it works. However, when you do those sorts of things, there is a large amount of fear that is involved in that. That is a part of that. And so this podcast is really about fear. As a woman, as a person, anyone who has been authentic and stepped up and said something that they truly believed in and got backlash for it. So, I mean, any type of fear that you go through as a woman, whether it's a health scare or it's standing up for something you believe in and getting backlash, or it's taking the leap to start a business, to own a business, to do something you've never done before. And maybe it's homeschooling your kids, or maybe it's getting through COVID in 2020 without killing your kids. I mean, it could be an array of all of these things, but this is what true fear feels like. And I literally experienced it. I laid in bed for 9 days. I didn't shower for 9 days. I know that's super gross. I made myself physically sick because I was allowing other people's opinions of me, other people's letters to my home, other people's emails to my store email, other people's phone calls to my store phone, other people's messages through my kids' school to put me into a state of fear that I could not get out of bed for 9 days. I made myself sick. And I realized that if I had stayed in bed any longer, I probably never would have gotten out again. And that fear is real, and it's very strong. And it's something that unless you experience it, no matter what it is that maybe you're pregnant and you're having twins instead of just one baby, that's scary. Maybe you didn't want to be pregnant and you're pregnant, and that's scary. Maybe you applied for a job and you didn't get it, and you don't know what else you're going to do because you need to work, and that's scary. Maybe your daughter is 15 and you're trying to talk to her about sex and you don't even know how to do it because you're divorced after 19 years. That would be me. Never thought I would be single ever. And after 19 years, my husband didn't want to be married anymore. And now I'm trying to, coach and be a great mother to a teenager. That's scary. So this podcast is for everyone who deals with fear and any kind of fear. And we're just going to get into it, and we're going to dig into it, and we're going to be raw and emotional and honest. So nothing can exist, podcasts included, without the help of sponsors. And sponsors are what keep us going. And I want to make sure that we're giving sponsors to y'all that you actually care about. So in the next couple podcasts, we're going to create some sort of survey that you guys can answer a few questions. I want to get to know you. I want to know who you are. I want to know what you love. I want to know what you hate. And I want to be able to bring really great sponsors to you that are going to make you want to listen and want to learn more about these fabulous people. So today I'm bringing one of my very favorite sponsors, one of my very favorite people to you. Her name is Sarah. She is the owner of Wink Beauty Boutique. Sarah's been my friend for a long time, and if you've ever seen pictures of me or if you've met me, you know I have the most fabulous eyelashes ever. They're eyelash extensions. They're amazing, and Wink Beauty does that for me, Sarah and her team. She also does waxing, facials, and more. I mean, they do men's waxing. They do the whole kit and caboodle, too. If you want the whole Brazilian situation, Sarah does that for me, and I can tell you, it is not the most painful thing in the world. Most people think it's super painful, but it is not. She is so sweet and so kind and so gentle, and the place is immaculate, super clean, and the prices are phenomenal. Wink Beauty Boutique LLC at gmail.com. winkbeautyboutique.com. Mention Fearlessly Authentique podcast and receive a surprise offer with Fearlessly Authentique code. The number 2 Wink Boutique, it's just south of Kenosha in Pleasant Prairie, 262-948-9339. 262-948-9339. Mention the code Fearlessly Authentique Podcast when you call to make an appointment and receive a very surprise offer from Sarah and her team, waxing, lash extensions, facials, and more. winkbeautyboutique.com. All right, so why am I doing a podcast? Isn't that the thing everyone's talking about right now? I mean, aside from the fact that 2020 has been literally the drunkest year of all years of my 45 years of being alive, I feel like 2020 is just drunk or like on crack. I don't know what, but it's been the worst year of pretty much everyone's life. If I'm speaking openly, and I hope I'm not speaking for anyone who's had a great 2020. If you have, dial me up at fearlesslyauthentique.com and let me know why 2020 has been the best year of your life, because I feel like I speak for most people and say that it has been the worst. And podcasts are kind of like a new thing. I mean, I've been listening to podcasts for many years, but I feel like right now they're kind of a thing because you can't go anywhere. You can't see any concerts. You can't go to the movies pretty much. I mean, you're basically confined to your house and sort of to work. And maybe you can go to the grocery store, but I will tell you what, if I look up the amount of money that I have spent on DoorDash, I swear to you, I mean, I don't even want to look. I'm so scared because I put it on the same credit card every time. Like, it has a little thumbprint, you know, and like now my kids even know how to do it. So they're like, we want Culver's or we want Baskin Robbins. And then they like type it in, put the thumbprint, it goes to the credit card. I mean, it's going to do that pie chart thing. You know, at the end of the year when you get your credit card, it's like that pie chart thing. And my pie chart is going to be like a sliver clothes, a sliver, you know, I don't know, housewares. And then the rest of the pie is going to be DoorDash. I swear. I don't even want to go to the grocery store. And not because I'm afraid to go out. I just hate grocery shopping. And now DoorDash is like the best thing ever. I feel like they should be a sponsor, but they're not. But anyway. So I digress. So why am I doing a podcast? I'm doing a podcast because something happened to me that I kind of alluded to earlier, and I'm going to tell the story right now, and it's what brought me here. So I am from Kenosha, Wisconsin, and it's a small little Midwestern town where I do own Authentique, which is a small gift boutique. We offer unique gifts and rarities. We try to carry all things that are small business and all things that are owned by other women. So it's about empowering other women in business. 90% of the vendors or distributors that I carry in my store are owned by women, made by women, women artisans. I built Authentique from scratch. I literally had, like I said earlier, had no intention of opening a store. I signed a lease that very day. I built everything from the ground up. I had saved money from my direct sales business. I never took out a loan. And, you know, and that's a hard thing to do. And I'm not saying that if you want to start a business, that's the only way to do it, because there's multiple ways to do it. And I have lots and lots of fabulous women in my repertoire that can help you open a business and help you get financial aid and all of those sorts of things if you want to do that. But I did not. And so I was really proud of it. And then COVID hit, and I had to go really like outside of the box. Like, I had to think of different ideas to keep the business coming, because I have 10 employees and a couple are full-time and the rest are part-time, and I don't get paid from the store, but I can't not pay my employees. Like, my whole joy in life is to be able to empower other women and give other women jobs and teach other women how to be leaders. That is my joy. I literally, I can't, some nights I have a hamster wheel. I call my brain, it's a hamster wheel. At night, it's just going, trying to think of other ways that I can empower and inspire women from all ages, from, 18, 19, all the way up to, my age, which is really old and older. But at any rate, I'm slapping my knee. Hopefully that didn't go into the microphone. Did it go into the microphone? Okay, I'm talking to my producer, Steve. It went into the microphone? Okay. All right. So it's always nice to have a producer or somebody with you. I'm probably going to have, at some point, a co-host, my friend Eddie, who I've done some radio work with before, and he's super funny. But it's nice to have a producer or someone you can talk to, because otherwise I'm sitting in my closet staring at clothes that are too tight and too small. And it just is really depressing. So anyway, and so 2020 happened, and we did survival boxes, and we did not only curbside pickup, but we did delivery. We drove around all of the areas, like within 15, 20 miles of Racine and Kenosha and Pleasant Prairie in our particular area of Wisconsin, southeastern Wisconsin, and dropped it off and rang the doorbell, and we wore gloves and, rang the doorbell, and we hand sanitized, and we went on to the next place. And so these survival boxes were really great. So we had to think of outside of the box ideas so that we were still making money. And I love social media, but I hate social media, right? So it's a two-edged sword. Like, the great thing about social media is, like, in this day and age, you can actually still get business and still pay your rent because of social media. Now, 20 some years ago, when my mom owned a restaurant and a store attached to her restaurant, which was gift basket and food-related gifts, there was no social media. So unless someone was walking into the door or she was making cold calls on the phone, how was she selling, baskets? And in a COVID year, how she would have never survived. And many of the food and beverage industries out there, I know for a fact, are struggling, the restaurants and the bars. And let's face it, ladies, I mean, and not that everyone listening is a lady, but, not too long ago, women, we were 51% of the job market. 51%. I mean, that's incredible. And then COVID hit, and 3 weeks later, we have reduced that percentage by 10 years. We've worked so hard to be an avid part of the workforce. Maybe we're not all CEOs. Maybe we haven't broken all of the glass ceilings. But let's get real. We were 51% of the job market, and COVID hit. And why is that? Because we are a little bit more of the nurturing sex. We are the givers. We are the service industry. We are the food and beverage industry. We are the hotel and tourism industry. That's who we are. We're the daycare providers. We're the teachers. That's who we are. That's what we are innately, and that's what we do. And so all of those jobs were like taken away in a heartbeat. And now we're stay-at-home moms homeschooling. Now, I have a lot of friends who homeschool on purpose. I know, right? On purpose. You heard me right. On purpose. They do it on purpose. And I'm always like, God, girl, you have like 19 kids and you homeschool them? Like, how is that a thing? How do you even do that? I would like literally blow my brains out. These are way more patient women than me, but they relish in the fact that they are caregivers. They are super intelligent. They homeschool the most brilliant kids I've ever met, and also very well-mannered. I could never do that. My kids are a-holes. No, they're not, but a little bit they are. But I love to bring them to school. I love it. I love to bring them to school. So anyway, now I digress. Look I'm getting so off topic. This podcast thing is very fun for me because I just get to talk and talk and talk. But so at any rate, COVID happened, and I was really trying to just keep my business alive. We had to close for 2 months out of a 3-month quarter. So we were only open 4 weeks of 3 months. And shockingly, we had an increase in business because of all the outside of the box ideas. I do have to give kudos to my staff. Everybody had ideas. Everybody had thoughts. Everybody pitched in on Sundays when we did deliveries. Everybody came in with their masks and their gloves, or came in separately if they weren't comfortable, and like wrapped in the whole thing. And we just continued to give A+ service to our fabulous clientele. So that happens. Now, fast forward a few weeks after COVID's kind of fully set in, and a very sad and unfortunate situation happened in Kenosha. And maybe some of you have heard of it. And it was the shooting of Jacob Blake by a Kenosha police officer. I have feelings and things about it. I'm not going to comment on any of that because I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I can't have a full-fledged opinion on it, but I didn't know anything had happened. It was a Sunday. We had just gotten home from working at the store, and I got a text message from my friend Dina, and she said, "Kimberly, I'm worried about your store. Are you going to be boarding up?" And I responded and I said, "Dina, I don't even know what are you talking about?" And she went in to say, that a Kenosha Police Department officer had shot an African-American man in the back 7 times, and that it seemed like it was probably not going to be a great night for all of Kenosha, all of the African-American community, and pretty much everyone in southeastern Wisconsin. And I sat down at my kitchen table with Steve, my producer, and my coworker and partner in business. And I just started sobbing. And my son, Jack Lloyd, he's 11, he came down, he said, "Mom, what's wrong?" And I kind of explained to him what happened. And his biggest worry was, "Mom, well, if they're going to be mad, are they going to be mad? Like, what are they going to do? And why do you have to board? Why would you have to board your business?" And we didn't really explain at the time why that was possibly a thing. We wanted to wait it out and see what happened. So we told him, "No worries, go to bed. Everything's going to be fine." But of course, things unfolded, as most of you may have known or know if you watched any national news. And so there were 3 nights of riots. The first night of rioting was in my downtown, where they took bottles and crowbars and all sorts of things to break the glass and loot all of the businesses. Some of my friends, one of my friends, Sherry, had a beautiful lingerie shop, not like a really beautiful one, like with high-end lingerie, everything gone, the hangers gone, the mannequin naked, glass completely broken. And people say, "Well, what happened to your store, Kimberly?" And I said, "Well, we were lucky. We were the lucky ones, but not for lack of trying." So we have lots of video from the outside and from the inside with people attacking my huge picture windows with crowbars, and my corner door with crowbars, rocks, giant rocks that they're throwing. However, my building was built in 1927. It was the original Kenosha National Bank building. So if you know anything about bank buildings and bank glass, you know that it's special glass, and it takes kind of a lot for it to shatter on a dime, the way other restaurants and clothing stores and antique stores and children's stores were demolished downtown. So the next morning when I came downtown, driving around, I just was in tears. And I was in tears. I was sad for everyone. I was sad for, the Jacob Blake family. I was sad for the police officer. I was sad for our downtown, but I was mostly sad to see all of the destruction and the hate and the stealing and the looting and the sheer breaking of everything for not for no reason, but just for a reason that I couldn't relate to. I couldn't connect with why someone would want to do that, why that would make them feel better in the light of them feeling bad about a situation. And so I was crying, and I did a Facebook Live, and it kind of went viral. And I was also featured that very Sunday, a full-page ad in the Kenosha News for women in business. It was like a she section. So it's a big picture of me and a full-page ad about my businesses and all of that. And so that kind of got overshadowed, obviously. But because of those things, the White House was able to find me. And I got a phone call on Monday afternoon about 11:20. I was at lunch with my producer Steve and one of my full-time employees, and I said hello, and the man on the other end said, "Is this Kimberly Warner?" I said, "Yes, it is." He said, "Hi, my name is Jack Rush. I am the special assistant to the President of the United States of America. I'm calling from the White House. How's Wisconsin today?" And I was like, Sonny? Like, I thought it was a joke. I thought he was like, I literally did not believe that it was a thing. But it was a thing. And after a few minutes, I was shaking and he was like, okay. Like, he clearly did not think my answer was very good. I obviously sounded stupid, but he said, as you know, the president is coming tomorrow. He'd like to meet some of the business owners that have been affected by the riots, and we would like you to be one of them. And so from there, I sort of became this unofficial spokesperson for downtown Kenosha. I mean, as you know, I love a microphone. I mean, I love being on stage. I've been in the theater. You know, I sub sometimes on a morning show program on the radio. I mean, I would do it for free. That's how much I love it. I just love a microphone. I just love having a voice. But I truly love to stand up in front of people and like speak my truth. And so absolutely, I'll meet the president. I don't care who the president is. I respect the office, even if it isn't the, the side of the, what is that called? What do I call that, Steve? The partisan, like the partisan side, or how do you say that? If it's not the side that I necessarily agree with, I still want to meet the president. The political party. Okay. If it's not the political party that I necessarily align with, I don't care. I still want to meet the president. It's a really big deal. It's a once in a lifetime thing. And I respect the office. I respect the office. I think that's something that's lost in this day and age. I respect the office. So I was super excited to meet the president. And then from there, we got to talk to him a little bit. COVID, we couldn't shake his hand or anything like that. He's very tall, by the way, very, very tall, and also very casual, like talks like a normal person. But anyway, I digress. None of this is supposed to be political, but what happened next was then I was asked to be, interviews. I was on TV. In Skype interviews, I was interviewed on, different radio stations in Chicago and Midwest and newspapers and all sorts of things. And I was even asked to do a political commercial, in which I decided to do. And so I kind of stood up for my beliefs, and I did what I thought was right because of what had happened to me in my four walls, which was my business. I saw the destruction. I saw the hate. I was awake for 4 or 5 days. I saw someone literally shot in the head live a block from my store. And that spot where he laid is still there. Those cars are still burned and they're still sitting there. It's a graveyard. So until you have walked in somebody else's shoes, until you have walked through a graveyard of someone's business burned to nothing, and can see in your mind's eye someone being shot, lives being lost in a moment that it never should have happened, but it did. It's very painful and it's very hard. And I felt like I needed to stand up and say what I believed in. Now, what happened after that was, I don't even know. I mean, death threats to me and to my staff. I had sheriff's department. I have a lot of friends in law and order. They had people parked out front of my house. I mean, at the end of the day, I was getting letters from people saying things like, "No wonder your husband divorced you. You're too dumb for words." The whole cliche thing. They did a cancel culture Facebook page. They were trying to cancel my entire business. It was shared all over. And things really went downhill. And that's when, like I said earlier, I couldn't get out of bed. I just couldn't, and I didn't think I ever wanted to. I thought divorce was going to be the hardest thing I was going to endure in 2020. We should drink to that. We should do a shot to that, because divorce was nothing compared to everything else that came next. COVID, being closed for almost a full quarter, then, this horrible shooting, and then these poor, whole tribes of people in our town feeling like they're not heard, and then riots, and then my store being attacked, and my friends' stores literally being like everything gone. They lost everything. The whole uptown being burned down. I mean, if the federal troops had not come in, I 100% believe there would not be a Kenosha. And so, after all of this happened, like I said, I spent 9 days in bed. I couldn't get myself to get out of bed. I was making myself sick. And, I have kids. So, I had to force myself to make breakfast and get them to school. And one day one of the 9 days, I was standing in the kitchen and I looked at my daughter, Madeline, and I thought, if I don't figure out a way to lean into this fear and become stronger for it, I'm never going to be the role model I want to be for my daughter. I want her to be strong and independent, and I don't want anything to scare her. Lots of things are scary, but I don't want anything to scare her to the point that she can't get out of bed for any length of time. And I thought to myself, what would I tell my friends? What would I tell my friend Dee, who just went through cancer? What would I tell my friend Diana, who just went through a double mastectomy and owned her own business for 30 some years that she had to close because of it? What would I tell my sister, who, lived in Arizona and loved her life, and her husband got transferred to a new state where it's cold and snowy and she hates it? What would I tell any of my coworkers or my employees who need some faith? They need something to hold on to because school is hard, or they can't get through this virtual life that we're living right now. What would I say to them? And I saw Madeline, and I said to myself, well, in my head, I talk in my head a lot, but I said, I have no choice. I have no choice. I have to flip the script. I have to pick myself up by my big girl pants, and I have to find the people that are going to support me and rally around me and champion me so that I can fill my soul up again. Because, we're all a vessel. I feel like I'm a vessel, and I take bad energy on and it brings me down, but I also take good energy on and it brings me up. And if you're a vessel, you need to really have an inner core strength that pulls you back and that gives you that power. And you have to be able to say, I am strong enough. I am good enough. I am smart enough. Now I feel like Stuart Smalley. And gosh darn it, people like me. But it's true. It's true. They do. And if you don't look in the mirror and tell yourself that people like you, you're never going to get through Tuesday to get to Wednesday, and Wednesday to get to Thursday. And that's really how I was feeling. Even if you don't have kids, you got to do it for other people's kids. You got to do it for your nieces, for your nephews, for your grandkids, for your neighbors, for your cat, your dog. You got to do it for someone, because if you can't do it for yourself, you have to put that faith and that strength into someone else. And that is what got me out of bed after 9 days. Now, I'm going to say this now, and I probably should have said it earlier, but you're probably not all going to love everything that I have to say. You're probably not all going to agree with everything I have to say. Nobody ever has been that person that agrees with everything I say or likes me all the time. I am a juxtaposition. I am platinum blonde. I am sassy. I often use inappropriate language. When everybody's wearing a long black dress and being really professional, I'm wearing like a hot pink mini dress with like a little like tiara in my hair. I mean, I am a juxtaposition all around, every day, all day. So I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. I'm just saying this is what I experienced. This is what I went through. And if you've ever gone through something, anything, cancer, death, fear of starting something new, fear of losing something, divorce, that all is fear. And that's what I'm here for. So that's what this podcast is about. This is my story. I'm Kimberly Warner, and we are going to get into it from here on out. We're going to have guests. We're going to talk about fun stuff. We're going to talk about, design tips and interview other women who've been super brave and super strong. I'm kind of like the sassy, blonde Brené Brown, only not half as smart or half as articulate. I really love her. She's the best. If you don't know anything Brené Brown, get on there, download a podcast, download a TED Talk. I love TED Talks. I'm so geeky. I map out TED Talks. But that Simon Sinek, all these cool people that have all these really smart things to say. I don't have anything smart to say, but I do know what it feels like to be a real mom, a single mom, a recently divorced after 19 years, not even sure how I'm going to pay my own mortgage, owning businesses, caring more about my employees than I do about me, having my town burnt down, speaking up, getting death threats. I mean, even people from the prison were trying to contact me and wanting to be pen pals, I guess. I don't know. I gained 20 pounds in COVID. I'm not cute at all. I don't know what is happening. But that's what this is all about. And we're going to have Eddie once in a while. We're going to have a co-host, and Steve is producing. And hopefully the music isn't too annoying. I don't even know how to pick music for a podcast. But I just want to say thanks to our sponsor, Wink Beauty Boutique. And definitely we are taking sponsorships. And if you're interested in being a part of that, you want to contact us at fearlessauthentique.com. You can also find our website at fearlesslyauthentique.com, where you'll see podcasts, blog posts, tips, and also a link to my store for some really fun and amazing products. It's almost Christmas, so if y'all need gifts, I'm here for you. So thanks again, and we will talk to you next week. Fearlessly Authentique by Kimberly. Thank you so much for listening to Fearlessly Authentique podcast. I can't even believe I'm doing this. And hopefully you didn't hate me too much. But we would love for you to come back and listen again. If you want to speak with me, if you want to email me, if you have ideas, if you have stories, if you want to tell me you hate me, whatever you want to do, email me at fearlesslyauthentique.com. It's fearless at fearlesslyAuthentique.com, or find me on Facebook at Be Fearlessly Authentique, Instagram at Fearlessly Authentique, Twitter Fearlessly AUTHE because they don't like us to have too many letters, Twitter Fearlessly AUTHE. Just so you know, I barely even know how to use Twitter, but I'm gonna learn. I'm leaning into the fear of Twitter. I want to make sure everybody knows the closing credits go to my wonderful producer, Steve Hawkins, and Eddie Polizani. I hope I said his last name right. Is that how I said it? Polizani. I love Eddie, but I just call him Eddie because his last name's really hard to say. Executive producer, me, myself, and I. Mixed by Steve Hawkins. Copyright Fearlessly Authentique 2020. Please post, rate, comment, all of the above. And we will talk to you next week at Fearlessly Authentique.